Hello, it's a culture genie. Eid al-Adha, or the holiday of sacrifice, is one of the most important, if not the most important tradition and event within Islam. The event is held on each 10th of al-Hijjah, a month within the Islamic calendar, which is a lunar calendar based upon lunar cycles that say the passage of the moon. The beginning of this holiday marks the end of the Hajj, the obligatory pilgrimage to Mecca. You are supposed to finish within 5 days. Eid al-Adha lasts for about 2 to 3 days. This holiday is also sometimes called Big Eid, or al-Eid al-Akbar, the Greater Eid, in comparison to al-Eid al-Asghar, the Lesser Eid, or as we also know it as Eid al-Fitr, the holiday of breaking the fast, which is the festivity after the breaking of the fasting after Ramadan, which is the month of fasting. The reason as to why Eid al-Adha is celebrated above just being the end of the holy pilgrimage period is to be found in the Qur'an regarding the story about the sacrifice of Ismail, the son of Abraham and Hajar or Hagar. The story begins when God demands a sacrifice from Abraham in the form of his son as an act of obedience. And thus Abraham was ready to sacrifice his son. However, God intervened by sending the angel Gabriel or Jibril down to earth with a sacrificial lamb to give in place of Ismail. God had ordered Jibril to hand over the lamb to Ibrahim or Abraham, informing him that this was nothing but a test of his faith, as God had never intended Abraham to actually sacrifice his son, but rather wanted to test his faith, and provided him with a lamb to sacrifice instead, as an alternative to sacrificing his son, thus proving his own mercy, proving that it was only a test in order to test Abraham's willingness to sacrifice for God. This very same story actually exists in another version in the Bible, but there the son to be sacrificed is Ishaq, and not Ishmael or Ismail. Binding of Isaac is actually a very important part of Judaism, as it kind of confirms the rule of the Jewish people in the future as being the people of God, by Isaac being chosen. But in the Islamic versions of this story, it is again not Isaac that is to be sacrificed and saved before, but Ishmael, the forefather of the Arabs. Now there are two ways to look at this. The first one is to accept the Islamic narrative that the Bible is just a previous revelation that has become corrupted. Thus this is the original story, despite it coming later. The other view is that it is the result of cultural borrowing from Jewish tradition, with some slight changes, in order to fit a new Arabic Islamic context. Since God gave Abraham or Ibrahim a goat to sacrifice, and it is this act of sacrifice, of wanting to sacrifice for God, that is celebrated, it means that Eid al-Adha is usually celebrated by sacrificing an animal, usually a goat, a camel, or a cow, or some other type of valuable animal. This is called the al-Qurbaan, the sacrifice or the slaughtering of the animal. After the animal has been slaughtered, 1/3 of their meat is consumed by the family which offered the animal, when the rest of the meat is often distributed to the poor and the needy as a form of charity in the local community. Remember, Islam has a great focus upon charity and helping the poor, just like Christianity and Judaism. You also have a lot of other rituals connected to Eid al-Adha, like chanting takbir, that's to say, Allahu Akbar, God is greater, out loud before the Eid prayers in the first day and after prayers throughout the 3 days of Eid. You also sometimes have special prayers that you use for this occasion. You usually gather at the mosques a lot during this time. Sweets and gifts are given between families and friends, and extended family members are typically visited and welcomed. And good food is provided and eaten in feasts, both with families and in communal gatherings. Lamps are lit and recitations of the Quran are made. It is important to know that these traditions associated with Eid al-Adha vary a lot from region to region and from subdivision to subdivisions within Islam. But in short, it is a celebratory event, not that unlike Christmas or Easter in Christianity. It is an event where the greatness and mercy of God is celebrated, where the sacrifice or the readiness to give sacrifice for God is celebrated. And as Islam means submission to God, being ready to give up the things closest to you is essential to the religion. Abraham's absolute submission to God in his willingness to sacrifice his son stand as an example of what a Muslim should be in the ideal case. This is why this event is called al-Eid al-Akbar, greater celebration, in comparison to the celebration of breaking the fast, as sacrificing your son is greater in submission to God than finishing your fast. It is important here to remember that Islam is a religion like any other. Everything is not brutal war or jihad or harsh legal punishments and codes as some stereotypes of Islam would say. In fact, the religion contains elements of great devotion and of communal events and happy moments, just like any other religion. The extreme parts that we usually see with regard to Islam are actually a rather small part of the religion for most believers. This Eid al-Adha and other rituals like the daily prayers and fasting during Ramadan is closer to the everyday experience of most Muslims, and has been so for a period of almost 1.5 millennia. Eid al-Adha has been a festivity, a time of happiness and closeness to God, and a time of helping the poor of society, thus bringing the greater community of believers together in communal worship. I hope this video has been helpful, informative and interesting to you, my dear viewers. If you have any questions, you can place them in the comment section. And I just want to say, I'm dearly thankful for you watching my content. Please do push the like button if you like this video. Please do subscribe, as it would help the channel spread awareness about the humanities. اشترك بالقناة من فضلكم.